Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the second episode on our lecture on the law on obligations and contracts. This afternoon, we are going to discuss the different kinds of obligation. So let me share my screen with you. We will start with the obligation with a period, and we will discuss this topic side by side with a pure conditional. Okay. Okay. Chapter 3, different kinds of obligation. Section 1, pure and conditional obligations. So Article 1179, every obligation whose performance does not depend upon a future or uncertain event or upon a past event unknown to the parties is demandable at once. Every obligation which contains a resolutory condition shall also be demandable without prejudice to the effects of the happening of the event. So class, Article 1179 now contains what? The definition of a pure obligation. Now, a pure obligation is an obligation which is not subject to any condition. No, there is no specific date of the performance, and that it is immediately demandable. So when you say pure condition class, no, this is the kind of the obligation, the performance of which does not depend upon a future or uncertain event, no, or a past event unknown to the parties. Now, since a pure obligation does not depend on a future or uncertain event or a past event unknown to the parties, it is demandable immediately, or as the law says, it is demandable at once. Okay. So again, when you say pure condition or pure obligation rather, now this is the obligation which is not subject to any condition. No, it is demandable without a condition. No, and there is no specific date of its performance, and that it is immediately demandable. Now, the second type of obligation under Section 1 is a conditional obligation. If a pure obligation does not depend upon a future or uncertain event, no, a conditional obligation, on the other hand, no, takes effect no, when a future and uncertain event is occurring or have occurred, no? Or it can also be in the form of an uncertain event or a past event unknown to the parties. Now, class, when you say conditional obligation from the term itself, no, the obligation of the debtor or the passive subject will arise only upon the fulfillment or non-fulfillment of a future and uncertain event. Now, the happening of a future and uncertain event now will give rise to the performance or demandability of a conditional obligation. Now, class, it is a conditional obligation because a condition is both in the future and uncertain to happen. No? Kaya nga tinawag siyang condition or kondisyon sa Tagalog. No? Now, it is a condition is a happening which is in the future and it is uncertain to happen. Meaning to say, nobody knows at the present time whether or not a particular condition will occur or will take place. Which is why no, the more accurate definition of a conditional obligation is that it is both in the future and it is uncertain. No, it is uncertain. Now, class, a condition is easy to understand. No, when you say a condition being in the future or uncertain, no, that is very easy to understand. How about the second phrase quoted by law? No, the second phrase is upon a past event unknown to the parties. No? When we say condition or conditional obligation, it is happening in the future. No? No, it will happen not today. It did not happen in the past, but it will happen in the future time. Okay? Now, if a condition will occur or will transpire at a future time, how then a past event or an event which has transpired in the past or before the obligation was entered into, unknown to the parties, can qualify as a conditional obligation? In other words, class, how can a past event qualify as a conditional obligation? No, because it is not in the future. It is a past event. How can that be a form of conditional obligation? Now, the answer to their class is that the past event in itself is not the conditional obligation which is being referred to by law. Instead, what is futuristic in a past event is the coming to knowledge of the parties of that past event. No, I will repeat. A past event unknown to the parties can be considered as a conditional obligation in the sense that it is the acquisition of knowledge by the parties of this past event unknown to them at the time that the agreement was entered into by the parties. Now, if that past event was made known or is made known to the party at a later time, then that is what the law considers as an conditional obligation. It is also in the future in the sense that at the time that the agreement was entered into by the parties, they do not have knowledge of this past event, and that the subsequent discovery of the parties of this past event is what makes it a future and an uncertain event. So that is what you mean by conditional obligation. Again, a conditional obligation is both in the future and uncertain event. Class, para madaling tandaan, pag sinabing conditional obligation, it is both in the future and uncertain. And take note that a past event unknown to the parties can also be considered by law as a conditional obligation in the sense that the acquisition of the knowledge of the parties is what is being referred to as a future and uncertain event and not the past event in itself. Okay. So take note, Condition is a future and uncertain event or a past event upon the happening of which the effectivity or extinguishment of an obligation or right subject to it depends. Okay. Now, let us discuss about the distinction between a suspensive condition and a resolutory condition. Okay. Now, a suspensive condition, no? If a suspensive condition is fulfilled, the obligation arises. On the other hand, if a resolutory condition is fulfilled, then the obligation is extinguished. No, they are in the extreme opposite. Suspensive condition, the happening of which will give rise to the obligation. On the other hand, a resolutory condition is where the happening of which will have to extinguish or end the obligation. Okay? Now, in essence, a suspensive condition is a mere expectancy. You do not know whether it will happen in the future. On the other hand, class, a resolutory condition is immediately executory or immediately effective. No, when the parties entered into by a resolutory condition, that obligation is immediately effective upon the birth of the agreement. And the happening of the resolutory has the effect of terminating the rights or right of the obligee, the creditor, or the active subject. So take note of the distinction between the two. When you say suspensive condition, the happening of which give rise to the obligation. On the other hand, a resolutory condition is immediately effective. And the happening of that condition will have to extinguish or terminate the right or rights acquired by the obligee, creditor, or the active subject. So these are the principal kinds of condition. Okay? When you say an obligation is demandable at once, if it is a pure obligation, or it is an obligation subject to a resolutory condition, or if it is an obligation subject to a resolutory period. No, it is demandable at once, meaning it is immediately effective. Now, if your obligation is immediately effective because it is not subject to any condition or a period. No? Likewise, a resolutory condition and a resolutory period, because again, these are effective, or these conditions, this conditional period, no, a resolutory condition or a resolutory period takes effect immediately upon the birth of the agreement. Okay. Let us go to Article 1180. Article 1180. When the debtor binds himself to pay when his means permit him to do so, then the obligation shall be deemed to be one with a period, subject to the provisions of Article 1197. Now, class, take note, no, that if the agreement or the contract will provide that the debtor binds himself to pay, or that the debtor promises to pay when his means permit him to do so. Sa Tagalog, kapag kaya niya lang magbayad. Magbabayad lang ang umuutang, no? Kung meron na siyang kung siya ay magkaroon ng kakayanang magbayad. No? In other words, babayaran kita kapag kaya ko nang magbayad. Ang sabi ng Article 1180, class, when the debtor binds himself to pay when his means permit him to do so, then the obligation shall be deemed to be one with a period. With a period. Okay. Now, anong ibig sabihin yan, class? Okay? Article 1180 is indirectly telling us that the promise to pay when one means permit him to do so no, is what? A certain, or is a period, not a condition. Ibig sabihin, it is certain to happen that one will have, no, will acquire a means to pay. That the acquisition of the means to pay, no, is a period. It is certain to happen. No, it is not a condition because it is not uncertain to happen. So the acquisition of one to pay of the, or the means to pay, is only a period and not a condition. Okay. Duration of the period depends upon the will of the debtor. No? So when the debtor promises to pay, when his means permit him to do so, it is an obligation with a period. No? Okay. Now, the law says under Article 1180, no, that this kind of obligation is subject to the provisions of Article 1197. Okay. Under Article 1197, if both parties cannot agree as to the specific time for payment, then the court shall fix the period on the application of either party. Now, class, since the promise to pay when one means permit him to do so is an obligation with a period, then the remedy of the creditor, the obligee, or the active subject, no, is to go to court and ask the court to determine or to fix the period of time by which the other party, the debtor, obligor, or the passive subject, will have to perform his obligation under the contract. Okay, let us go to 1181. In conditional obligations, the acquisition of rights, as well as the extinguishment or loss of those already acquired, shall depend upon the happening of the event which constitutes the condition. No? Article 1181 defines what a conditional obligation is. The law says that rights are acquired or lost, no, depending upon the happening of an event which constitutes the condition. Okay? Okay, what is the effect of the happening of a condition in a conditional obligation? Number one, rights are acquired. No? If the obligation is subject to a suspensive condition, then rights are acquired upon the happening of the condition. No? Now, if the suspensive condition, on the other hand, have been certain or have been ascertained to be not capable of fulfillment, then the parties would stand as if the conditional obligation had never existed. Huh? If the suspensive condition is certain to be not fulfilled, the parties would stand as if the conditional obligation had never existed. In other words, class, if the conditional obligation or if the suspensive condition or a suspensive conditional obligation, no, is impossible to be fulfilled, then the conditional obligation is deemed to have never existed. Kung ang, tatagalogin ko class para madaling maintindihan, okay? If the suspensive condition, kung ang suspensive condition, no, ay hindi maaaring matupad sa anumang kaparaanan, then, no, sa makatwid, or then, that of what? or ang resulta ay mawawala ng visa ang conditional obligation. No? As if the conditional obligation had never existed. Kasi class, baka mamaya yung suspensive condition mo is impossible to happen. No? For example, I will give you 1,000 pesos if you are able to fly using your own bare hands. Hindi ka pwedeng makalipad, class, gamit ang iyong kamay. No? Your bare hands. Liban na lang kung ikaw si Iron Man. But even that hero will have to use the help of a technology which makes the suspensive condition, flying with bare hands, an impossible condition. Now, if the suspensive condition is so impossible to be performed, then the parties would stand as if the conditional obligation had never existed. In other words, class, the law will consider that condition to be void or inexistent. It did not exist at all. Now, class, take note that in case that the suspensive condition is impossible of fulfillment or incapable of fulfillment because of legal impossibility or physical impossibility, the obligation is valid. The obligation is valid, but the conditional obligation is deemed by law or considered by law to have never existed. In other words, class, the only thing that the law will disregard is the conditional or the impossible conditional obligation, leaving the obligation in itself perfectly valid. Perfectly valid. No? Now, class, if the conditional obligation is disregarded by law, that obligation becomes now a pure obligation. Because it is not subject to a condition. Because its fulfillment is not subject to a future and uncertain event. That makes it a pure obligation. Okay? Tandaan nyo yan. Okay. Effect of happening of the condition. Okay. Loss of rights already acquired. If the obligation is subject to a resolutory condition, then the happening of the conditional obligation or the condition will have the effect of losing the rights which have already been acquired. No? Okay. The happening of the condition produces the extinguishment or the loss of rights already acquired in a resolutory condition. Okay. Let us go to the next article. Article 1181. When the fulfillment of the condition depends upon the sole will of the debtor, the conditional obligation shall be void. If it depends upon chance or upon the will of a third person, the obligation shall take effect in conformity with the provisions of this code. I will repeat. Article 1182. When the fulfillment of the condition depends upon the sole will of the debtor, the conditional obligation shall be void. If it depends upon chance or upon will of a third person, the obligation shall take effect in conformity with the provisions of this code. Now, class, what is a potestative condition? A potestative condition is a condition suspensive in nature and which depends upon the sole will of one of the contracting parties. Okay? No, potestative condition class is a condition suspensive in nature. Suspensive meaning to say the happening of which will give rise to the obligation. No, it is a condition suspensive in nature and the happening of which which depends upon the sole will of one of the contracting parties. One of the contracting parties. Now, suspensive condition depends upon the sole will of the debtor. If the suspensive condition depends upon the sole will of the debtor, then the condition is void, but the obligation is valid if it pre-exists. Class, tandaan yan, ha? If the suspensive condition depends upon the sole will of the debtor, then only the conditional obligation is void, leaving the obligation which is pre-existing valid. Huh? On the other hand, if both the condition and the obligation is void, then they are both to be disregarded by or applying the provision of the law. No? Now, second, if the suspensive condition depends upon the sole will of the creditor, then both the condition and the obligation is valid. No? Tandaan niya kasi hindi lahat ng potestative condition, no? Void, no? If the suspensive condition, no, if the fulfillment of the suspensive condition, no, depends upon the sole will of the creditor, then both the condition and the obligation is valid. Class, bakit kaya? Ano kaya ang difference? Compare niya number 1, no? Suspensive condition depends upon the will, the sole will of the debtor. Sabi dito, condition is void but the obligation is valid. On the other hand, if the suspensive condition depends upon the sole will of the creditor, both the condition and the obligation is valid. Bakit kaya, class? Isip nyo ba? Kaya, class, tandaan ninyo. For you to be able to understand the provisions on the law on obligations and contracts, you have to master the principles involved. You need to get the rationale of the law. Kailangan maintindihan nyo bakit ganun ang batas. What is the reason behind the rule? No, behind the law. If you are able to understand the rationale or the reasons behind the rule or the law, then you will better understand this subject. Okay. Ang sabi dito, class, if the suspensive condition depends upon the sole will of the debtor, then the conditional obligation is void, but the obligation in itself is valid. Valid. On the other hand, under item 2, if the suspensive condition depends upon the sole will of the creditor, then both the condition and the obligation are valid. No? Bakit kaya? If the fulfillment of the suspensive condition depends upon the sole will of the debtor, then the condition is void. Why, class? Kasi, class, if we allow the debtor to determine for himself, or if we allow the debtor to decide whether the suspensive condition will be fulfilled or not, then the obligation is rendered nugatory. Nawawalan siya ng force and effect. Kasi pag hindi ginawa ni debtor ang suspensive condition, then wala na siyang obligasyon. Malamang hindi niya gagawin. The debtor will not fulfill the obligation. It is but natural for the debtor to avoid or to evade fulfillment of a suspensive condition because he is naturally reluctant to perform his own part of the contract, which is why if the suspensive condition depends upon the sole will of the debtor, then the conditional obligation is void. The law will disregard that suspensive condition and make it or consider it as a pure obligation. On the other hand, class, there is nothing wrong if the fulfillment of the suspensive condition will depend upon the sole will of the creditor because naturally the creditor is interested in the fulfillment of the suspensive condition. Because the fulfillment of the suspensive condition will give rise to the obligation to be performed by the debtor. Okay? In which case, both the conditional obligation and the obligation in itself are valid. Tandaan nyo yan. Okay. Okay, class. Wala sa libro yan. No? Dito lang yan. Kaya makinig kayo mabuti, class. Pero class, you have to read your books or your references. No, you have to read, you have to study hard, you have to write your notes, your personal notes, so that you will understand the law better. If you just keep on staring or reading, no, dinadaanan lang ng mga mata ninyo yung binabasa nyo, you will never understand this subject. You have to write your own notes. Without writing your notes, you will not be able to realize what you are reading because this subject is highly conceptual in nature. You have to imagine what is being contemplated by the law or by the rules. Number 3, if the resolutory condition depends upon the sole will of the debtor, then both the condition and the obligation are valid. Why, class? Because the debtor is interested in the termination of the rights acquired by the creditor, which makes the condition and the obligation valid. The only thing that makes this item number 1, void is because if we allow the debtor to decide for himself whether or not he will fulfill a suspensive condition, will render the obligation nugatory because it is as if that he can decide to step away or go away or spare himself of the fulfillment of the contract. Nawawalan ang contract ng obligatory force. Okay, that is the reason behind that. Okay. Kanina, class, meron tayong potestative condition. Ngayon naman meron tayong casual condition and mixed condition. No? Balikan natin yung potestative. Anong sabi sa potestative? It is a condition suspensive in nature and which depends upon the sole will of one of the contracting parties. No? If the condition depends upon one of the contracting parties, then that condition is called potestative condition. On the other hand, a casual condition is a suspensive condition which depends upon chance or upon the will of a third person. No? A mixed condition is where the obligation depends upon partly chance, partly will of a third person. So casual depends upon chance or will of a third person. Chance or will of a third person. Kapag mixed condition, partly chance and partly will of a third person. The combination of a casual condition. Pag casual, it's either chance or will of a third person. If it is mixed condition, then chance and the will of a third person. So potestative, it is a condition, the fulfillment of which depends upon the sole will of one of the contracting parties. No? Casual condition is where what? The condition depends upon chance or will of a third person. Mix both chance and will of a third person. Take note of that. Palagi yan tinatanong sa exams. No? Potestative, casual, mixed condition. Take note and take note. Let us go to Article 1183. Impossible conditions. No? Impossible conditions, those contrary to good customs or public policy, and those prohibited by law, shall annul the obligation which depends upon them. No? If the obligation is divisible, that part thereof which is not affected by the impossible or unlawful condition shall be valid. The condition not to do an impossible thing shall be considered as not having been agreed upon. Article 1183 talks about impossible conditions. An impossible condition, or those conditions which are contrary or will violate good customs or public policy, those conditions which are prohibited by law, shall annul the obligation which depends upon them. Huh? If the obligation is divisible, that part affected by the impossibility, not that part thereof, which is not affected by the impossibility of the condition or the unlawfulness of the condition, will remain as valid. If the condition is not to perform an impossible act, it is considered as not having been agreed upon. No? This article refers to suspensive conditions wherein it applies only to cases where the impossibility already existed at the time the obligation was constituted. Take note of that, class. No? No, the impossibility must have existed at the time of the constitution or upon the time of the agreement of the parties. No? Okay. There are two kinds of impossible condition, one physical, one legal. When you say physical impossibility, this is impossibility which is brought about the nature of things. It cannot exist or cannot be done. Whereas a legally impossible condition can be physically done, but it is prohibited by law. It is prohibited by morals. It is prohibited by good customs, public order, or public policy. Okay. Effect of impossible condition. The condition and the obligation are void. Void. Now, void, void, void. Both the condition and the obligation are void. If the condition is negative, not to do an impossible thing, the condition is disregarded and the obligation is valid. Take note of these two. Okay. If the obligation is divisible, you only take away, you only disregard that part of the obligation which is affected by the impossibility and leave that or those parts which are not affected by the impossible conditions. If the obligation is pre-existing, the condition is void, but the obligation is still valid. Take note of the fourth item. Ha? Tandaan nyo yan, class. If the obligation have existed at the time that the parties have come into an agreement, then the condition is void, but the obligation remains to be valid. Okay, 1183. Okay. We go now to another article, Article 1184. Okay? Let us read Article 1184. Okay. The condition that some event happen at a determinate time shall extinguish the obligation as soon as the time expires or if it has become indubitable that the event will not take place. No, I will repeat, the condition that some event happen at a determinate time shall extinguish the obligation as soon as the time expires, or if it has become indubitable that the event will not take place. Okay. A potestative suspensive condition is the happening of an event at a determinate time. The obligation is then extinguished. No? As soon as the time expires without the event taking place, or it has become indubitable. When you say indubitable, it has become certain. You are already sure that the event will not take place, although the specified time has not expired. No? If no time is fixed, the circumstances shall be considered to arrive, not depending upon the intention of the parties. Okay. Let us go to another article, Article 1185. Under Article 1185, the condition that some event will not happen at a determinate time shall render the obligation effective from the moment the time indicated has elapsed, or if it has become evident that the event cannot occur. Okay? If no time has been fixed, the condition shall be deemed fulfilled at such time as may have probably been contemplated, bearing in mind the nature of the obligation. No? That's 1185. Okay. The condition shall be deemed fulfilled when the obligor voluntarily prevents its fulfillment. Okay. So this is what you call as constructive fulfillment of a suspensive condition. Now, if the obligor himself will exert efforts, or will bar, will voluntarily prevent, or will voluntarily block off, or will voluntarily stop the fulfillment of the condition, then the condition becomes or is considered by law to have been fulfilled. This is what you call as constructive fulfillment of a suspensive condition. Now, there are requisites for the application of this article. The condition must be suspensive. The obligor actually prevents the fulfillment of the condition, and that he acted voluntarily. Okay. Let us go to Article 1187. The effects of a conditional obligation to give once the condition has been fulfilled shall retroact to the day of the constitution of the obligation. Nevertheless, when the obligation imposes reciprocal prestations upon the parties, the fruits and interests during the pendency of the condition shall be deemed to have been mutually compensated. If the obligation is unilateral, the debtor shall appropriate the fruits and interests received, unless from the nature and circumstances of the obligation it should be inferred that the intention of the person constituting the same was different. In obligations to do or not to do, the court shall determine in each case the retroactive effect of the condition that has been complied with. Let us read it slowly once again. The effects of a conditional obligation to give, once the condition has been fulfilled, shall retroact to the day of the constitution of the obligation. Class, okay. Once a conditional obligation to give is fulfilled, then from the time that the condition was fulfilled, it will be deemed to have retroacted to the day of the constitution of the obligation. Now, it will retroact, meaning to say it will take effect from the time that the condition was fulfilled up to the time that the obligation or the agreement was entered into by the parties. No exception to that rule is when the obligation imposes reciprocal prestations. When you say reciprocal, both parties have prestations to perform. In which case, the fruits and interests during the interregnum or from the time that the parties have entered into agreement up to the time of the fulfillment of the conditional obligation, no, shall be deemed to have been mutually compensated. It is as if that both of them have received each other, have received the fruits and interest from each other, rather. So, ayun yung tinatawag natin class na quits na sila. No? Kung reciprocal yung prestation, ibig sabihin both parties are bound to perform their own part of the prestation. No, lahat ng fruits and interests, no, accrued, no, from the time that the parties have entered into an agreement up to the time of the fulfillment of the obligation, quits na sila, hindi na sila magbibigayan. No, mutual compensation na. Okay. If the obligation is unilateral, the debtor shall appropriate the fruits and interest received. No? On the other hand, if the obligation is unilateral, meaning to say only one party is bound to perform a prestation or his prestation, then ibibigay niya yung fruits and interest doon sa obligee. Unless, from the nature and circumstances of the obligation, it should be inferred that the intention of the parties constituting the same was different. Unless there is a contrary intention by both parties. Okay? In obligations to do or not to do, the courts shall determine in each case the retroactive effect of the condition that has been complied with. So, meaning to say Article 11 applies primarily to what? Real or personal obligation? To real obligation or obligation to give. In personal obligations or obligations to do or and not to do, the court will have to determine the retroactive effect of the condition which has been complied with. So Article 1187 discusses about retroactive effects of the fulfillment of a suspensive condition. Okay? When you say retroactive, it refers to extending the scope or effect to matters that have occurred in the past. Kaya retro class, babalik. No, retroactive. It will apply backward. No, it applies. No, it will extend the scope. No, to matters that have occurred. No, before the happening of the condition. No, it will retroactively apply backward. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay. An obligation to give subject to a suspensive condition, no, it will retroact, etc., etc. We have discussed this one already. Okay. No retroactive effects as to fruits, no, depending on the kind of the obligation. If the obligation is reciprocal, there is no retroactivity because the fruits and interests are mutually compensated, no, between the parties. On the other hand, unilateral obligation, then they are usually retroactive. They usually has no retroactive effect because they are gratuitous. Okay, reciprocal, no retroactivity. Okay, let's go back. So class, if the obligation is unilateral, take note, no, that the debtor will have to give the fruits unless there is a contrary intention of the parties. Okay. Okay. The creditor may, this is another article na, 1188. Okay. Okay. We will break after this one. So you will have enough time to rest. No, we do not want to record a very, very long discussion because it will tire you. Okay. So we will take these lessons pieces by pieces so that you will not get burned out. No? Mahirap yung masyadong mahaba yung lecture, no? It will tire you. No? Okay. Now, under Article 1188, the creditor may, before the fulfillment of the condition, bring the appropriate actions for the preservation of his right. The debtor may recover what during the same time he has paid by mistake in case of a suspensive condition. So there are rights pending before the pending fulfillment of a suspensive condition. Now, the creditor may take or bring appropriate actions for the preservation of his right, and the debtor can recover what has been paid by mistake prior to the happening of a suspensive condition. This is payment by mistake or solution indemnity, a form of a quasi-contract. This is self-explanatory. I leave them to you. So next meeting, we will discuss Article 1189 onwards. No, we will stop here so that you will be able to rest. Okay, I hope you learned something from this episode. See you again next meeting. Thank you.